Okay, so absolute value. Absolute value is the value of a number regardless of its sign. So we're not interested in the sign of the number. This is the symbol for absolute value. You might see something like this. Absolute value of 5 is 5. So let's explain what that means. So absolute value is just concerned with the value of the number, not the sign of the number. So for example, you can have a temperature outside of 30 degrees Fahrenheit, or you can have a temperature outside of negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. But the absolute value is 30. So we're only concerned with the number, we're not concerned with the sign. Another example is if two people leave a house and one of them heads, let's say 3 miles east, and the other one heads 3 miles west. Well, actually, that's in reverse because this would be east and this would be west. They've both traveled 3 miles, so the absolute value here is 3 miles. They've traveled the same distance, right? So we're not interested in direction. We're only interested in the value of the number. So examples you'll see and things you'll have to work out in class, which look like this. The absolute value of 6, let's say, is 6. The absolute value of negative 6 is also 6. So again, we're not concerned with the sign. We just want to know what's the number, what's the absolute value. Another way to think of it is the distance from 0 on a number line, just like east and west. So this is positive 3. This is negative 3. They're both 3 steps away from 0. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So you can think of it as the distance from 0 on a number line. It's called the absolute value. Okay, so a couple of things you'll see. You might ask to do operations within the absolute value. So you could have something like negative 6 plus 2. And you're taking the absolute value of the product. So you would do the math inside first, which would be negative 4. And then you would take the absolute value, and the answer would be 4. Or you could also see those separated, which would be a completely different type of problem. Absolute value of negative 6 plus the absolute value of 2. And when you take those, you're taking the absolute value of each one separately. Here you took the sum first, and then you took the absolute value. Here you're taking the absolute value of negative 6, which is 6, plus the absolute value of 2, which is 2, and you get 8. So you can see you get a different answer. Other things you might see. So it seems as though the answer always comes out positive, but you could end up with a negative answer if you're asked, what is the negative of the absolute value of 6? And so the answer would be negative 6. So you're taking the negative of the absolute value. You could have the negative of the absolute value of negative 6. So now you're taking the absolute value of negative 6, which we know is just 6, and you're taking the negative of that. So the answer can come out negative if there's a negative in front of the absolute value. And then, algebraically, you could be asked if you have the absolute value of x equal to, let's say, 7, what could x be? What numbers could be placed inside of this absolute value that would get me a result of 7? And so in this case, you have two answers, 7 and negative 7. Either one of those will get you 7 for an answer. And then there's a trick question. It could be asked like this. The absolute value of x equals, let's say, negative 9. What can you put in here that will get you an answer of negative 9? And this is a trick question. There's no solution because when you take the absolute value, you'll always get a positive answer. So this is no solution. And I think that's the only type of problems you're going to see for now. So that's absolute value.